So this conversation was happening on TikTok about consent, and I can't believe how many people got it wrong. I am shocked. Okay. So in the past, I was a peer educator for sex education, kink, and BDSM, and like unique relationship styles, including polyamory. And I always love sharing my knowledge about informed consent. I'm going to do that again here today. But before we do, let's listen to this voicemail that was going viral, and you can decide what you think. I'll decide what I think, and we'll share. This says, my friend sent me this voice memo from a guy she went on a date with. Okay, check this out. Tell me what you think.
You are lovely. Had a good time tonight. Definitely think you are lovely.
The audio is pretty bad for the first beginning part. And so I'm going to turn up all the way on my end. It might be hard to hear on yours. And then the music's going to stop, and then it's going to get louder.
Time tonight. Definitely think you are lovely. However, I would love to, if we're going to go to your place on Thursday, I mean, I am looking to have that physical intimacy to see if like I am sexually compatible with you. So like if I'm going to come over, like I would be hoping to like hook up, have sex, have a good time, have like that romantic spark and that physical spark there for my own sake, because it's hard for me to continue dating someone and seeing them if I don't know if I'm sexually compatible. So I know you said I don't know about that. So like I guess my thing is like what would be the point of me coming over then if we're not gonna like hook up and like cuddle and like be intimate with each other? And if that's what you don't want, that's fine, but like I think we should just like end it here then, respectfully, just because first date, that's fine. Like you want to get to know each other, I'm all about that, but like I am looking to have that physical aspect there, and I don't want to continue seeing someone if I don't know if that's good, if that's not there or not. So up to you. Let me know. I'm happy to, if you do want me to come over, I'm happy to do so. Would love to have a good time, and we can have some wine, hang out, and chill. But if you're not trying to hook up, then like I think we should just go our separate ways. Let me know.
Okay. So obviously I love your reactions because like, ew. Second of all, absolutely shocked how many liberal women, but not shocked, thought this was good. So this is a leftist woman, an anti-capitalist woman. We've covered her before. I believe she's a she, they. Actually, let me just double check her pronouns. I think so. I don't see pronouns here. So probably. They are getting the most flack for their defense of this guy. So let's use their conversations to have a larger one. And then I'm going to explain to you why this is not informed consent, even though it sounds like consent.
A video went viral last week of a girl that got a voice note from a guy that she was dating, and he was basically saying, hey, if we're going to continue hanging out, I just want you to know that I am seeking a sexual connection, and if you don't want to explore a sexual connection, then we should probably just end this now, because a sexual connection is a priority to me. And this was presented as a negative thing, and the comments were littered with people saying men aren't lonely enough, etc., etc. And I was sitting there thinking, this is what consent looks like, y'all. Like, we discuss the concept of consent so much, but I don't think people actually understand what it looks like, and that voice note is what consent looks like. It is blunt, it is raw, it is obvious. And that guy gave the girl a chance to be like, oh, okay, this is moving too quickly for me, and that's not how I want to conduct us dating right now. It should be that fucking easy. Consent, especially sexual consent, should be blunt. This is a great opportunity for y'all to increase your sexual education a little bit. I am 37 years old. I have done a lot of dating and a lot of sleeping around, and I have faced a lot of sexual abuse and trauma because these conversations were not held beforehand. I think it's admirable. I think it's admirable. And I think that if you are unwilling to have upfront and blunt conversations about your sexual health and your sexual expectations with someone that you are likely eventually going to have sex with, then you probably shouldn't be dating anyone at all. Y'all need to learn how to communicate, and you need to understand that the more directly and bluntly you communicate with other people, the better your fucking relationships will be. We are so unfortunately deeply conditioned by like Disney romance rape culture that we have come to believe that like romance is supposed to be like all of this silence and feelings that people are supposed to like be able to perceive. No, that's why rape culture exists, because people don't talk about shit.
Okay, respectfully to this creator, I have not seen a reductive argumentation like this in a very long time that hasn't come straight from a man's mouth. So, with peace and love, okay? So, what this person is engaging in is liberal consent. So, there's conservative consent, which is like no consent, okay? There's liberal. This is the Graham Plattner situation. He was drunk. She had a text message. She didn't lock her door. Da da da. Liberal consent is close enough. It's close enough consent. I did enough, so it should be good enough. Okay. Oh, I told her on a message on a voicemail I wanted to fuck, and that should be good consent. Okay. Oh, she came back to my place. She invited me over. Close enough. Okay. My version of consent is informed consent. So the kind of consent that I promote, I think is the best and the healthiest, is the kind that I engage with my now married partner, where my now married partner, in contrast to this story, right? It's a first date. He's on a first date with her. He goes to get to a second date. I know you want me to come over Thursday, but like, if we're not going to fuck, I think we should stop talking because I don't know if I like you until we fuck. And it's like, okay. So, and he said, I know you already are like not into it, but like, let me know. Okay. So it's not consent. It's not an informed consensual conversation, because informed consent requires a conversation. So when my partner and he was in Europe and I was in the United States, and we were going to meet each other for the first time to see if we wanted to continue courting and doing serious dating. We both obviously had not had sex with each other. And I said, since you're coming to America, would you like to do the the preparation for the possibility of sex? And he said, yeah, let's do that. And I said, okay, what is our preparation? We both agreed it's STI testing, birth control, protective measures. And obviously we negotiated and talked about, if, my partner flies all the way from Europe to meet me for the first time, to meet my family for the first time, and we don't vibe, it's also okay to not have sex. So sex was on the table as possibility, not on the table as a guarantee. Now, some people would say, I can't believe I just drove an hour to your house and I'm not even having sex with you. My partner got on a 22-hour flight to meet me for the first time to see if we even liked each other in person. And we knew that there was a possibility we wouldn't have sex, but we prepared in case we would have sex. And I wonder how much of this conversation was a conversation. Hey, what would you like to do? What would I like to do? Well, this is what I would like to do. What would you like to do? Have you gotten tested lately? How do you feel about birth control? How do you feel about condoms? There wasn't an inquiry. It was a simple ultimatum. It was a simple, we need to fuck, or I'm not into it. Now, to be fair, I dated this non-binary person and we had been friends for a while. So we already knew each other. So we were well acquainted. And once we started dating officially, we fucked right away. But why did we fuck right away? Because we knew each other already. So if we were already friends and then we started dating, we didn't need to get to know each other dating to know that we wanted to fuck. We already knew we wanted to fuck. So we both got tested. We both had our birth control. Not that we really needed it, because we both couldn't get each other pregnant. And then we, did the thing. Because again, this is a man on a first date who doesn't know this lady, who she's already said, I'm not really into it. So he is pressuring her. He is giving an ultimatum. And he's basically saying, I don't even want to talk to you like a real person because I'm here to fuck. The real informed consent would have been, hey, I'm not really interested in romantic dating. I am just looking to have sex. Are you down? Instead, it was, hey, I really don't know if I'm going to like you unless I put my penis in your vagina. So, you down? And this girly here went, oh my God, this is what consent looks like with peace and love. It's what liberal consent looks like. It is not what embodied, safe sex, informed consent looks like. Okay? Because what are we talking about? How can I dignify you as a human being if all I'm thinking about is whether I put my peen in your vein? What are we even talking about? She made a response because people were very upset. Here's her response.
And despite so many of you being offended that this guy wanted to talk about sex with the person that he was casually dating, a lot of you actually want to talk about it. I just don't think you really know how.
See, why is she so misinformed? They're not dating. They went on a date. Do you know what I'm saying? Why is she so loud and wrong? They went on one date. This was a second date. They are not dating. If they were dating, he wouldn't have given her an ultimatum, fuck me or I'm off. Why is she doing this? Why is she not listening? She is a prominent leftist creator. Okay? This is her page. She's a smaller creator, but she's known. I mean, I've even reviewed her videos on stream. Like 1 million views, 400,000 views, 500,000 views. I mean, she gets views. So like, I feel like she should kind of know better. But then, can I say this out loud? Hey, look, I know this is a threat to my job, but I got to be transparent with you. We don't know what we're talking about. We are not experts. Some of us have degrees. Some of us have training. Some of us are experts. Most of us are entertainers. I know what I'm talking about in the sense that I know what I'm talking about from my lens, but we don't know what we're talking about a lot of the time, which is something I really want you to process. That at the end of the day, these are just TikTokers sharing their opinion. And yes, I love listening to people's opinions. Girls, it's my favorite form of content. I love listening to people who are just people having conversations. It's my absolute favorite kind of like video to watch. Okay? But remember, at the end of the day, it's just people. And even when you're an expert, it doesn't even mean you're going to be great at it, because we saw what happened with Therapy Jeff. Talk about inappropriate. You know what I mean? So just remember that.
To. Let's talk about some of the common complaints and arguments that I received, because a lot of you understood what I was saying. A lot of you agreed. While a lot of you value and understand communication and transparency in the act of dating, a disturbing amount of you don't understand that at all, are against it, and are also creating narratives to vilify it, and that's worrisome. One of the most common complaints that I read is that it was off-putting that he gave her an ultimatum, and y'all kept using this word, ultimatum, 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 as if ultimatum is something bad. And that must be like a cultural thing, because ultimatum is a neutral word. Here's the definition of ultimatum. Ultimatums happen in your life all the time, and they are likely not associated with anything negative. I also want to point out that this ultimatum was not going to negatively impact the girl that received the voice note's life. They were not in a...
I don't give ultimatums. There's 3 structures here. Boundaries, ultimatum, kidnapping. We do not give ultimatums, because that is saying, you better do this or I'm going to do this. You do not kidnap people and force them to do what you want. You put down boundaries. He did not put down boundaries. He said, if we do not fuck when I come to your house on Thursday, I'm going to be upset. If we do not fuck, I shouldn't have to come over. That is not a boundary. That is an ultimatum. That is saying, that is almost like a threat. Because what if she had him come over and then she changed her mind? What would he have done to her? Oh, she violated his consent because she already consented to having sex, and then he drove all the way to her house, and then she revoked consent. Now she's violating his consent. That's her logic. That means this girl is not allowed to revoke consent. And I'm saying he didn't give her an option to revoke consent. He said, either we're going to fuck or we're not going to hang out. And then this girl said, oh yeah, that's really good displays of consent. Guys, that's a horrible display of consent. Absolutely not. Consent means the person is always safe to say no. Informed consent, sorry. Informed consent is you are always safe to say no. Always. No matter what. Married, not married, long-term relationship, whatever. Okay? You're always okay to say no. I get it. You know what I mean? The problem is, like, this girl's not understanding that he didn't give this other girl an option to say no.
Relationship, they were not even far into dating. Their lives were not entangled in any way. This is the sort of ultimatum.
Exactly. So a man she barely knows is going to come to her house and force his body inside of hers because he feels entitled to it, and that's what you're calling consent? You're calling consent and entitlement to a basically stranger man coming to my house and putting his body inside my body? Ma'am, no wonder everybody was pissed. What is this take?
That people should appreciate. Another common complaint that I saw is, why didn't he just list this in his dating profile and tell her before they even went on a date? Y'all, that is what dating is for. I do fear that dating apps have rotted the human connection experience for a lot of you. Dating is the preliminary stage to a relationship. I understand that dating app culture has sort of like misconstrued what—
Oh, Chess is not very leftist. No, perfectly leftist. That's what I'm saying. You being anti-capitalism doesn't mean you care about anything. It doesn't mean you haven't deconstructed. Going back to the TikTok I showed earlier, you must keep deconstructing. Being an anti-capitalist doesn't mean you're fucking deconstructing rape culture. I know she mentioned rape culture, but obviously she's not getting it. She hasn't done all the work. And I get it. Informed consent is something that even on my channel, people will watch my channel for the first time and think like, oh, Brittany, this is crazy. Nobody communicates this way. Nobody like negotiates this way. This is so crazy. And I'm like, hello? So she is just in a very specific How I Met Your Mother bubble. This is what I call it the How I Met Your Mother bubble. I call it the, sex is in the moment and you kind of like organically get to know somebody and you have sex, but where's the birth control? Where's the STI testing? Where's the informed consent? Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm saying, girlies, I know it sounds robotic to you, but I promise you informed consent is worth it and it's sexy and you should do it. Okay? So again, just because you're, a leftist doesn't mean you've deconstructed everything else. It just means you're anti-capitalist.
Dating is, but at most there might be a talking stage. This whole
Yeah, chat. I think you're right on this one, chat. Sorry. I think some people are so used to men lying and not being truthful about sex being their goal. So this voicemail seems revolutionary compared to those kinds of men. Exactly. The bar is in hell. And this is why I saw a man make this TikTok. I don't remember who it was, but he said the people who benefit the most from bad men is men who are slightly better, because then they just have to be better than the rapist, but not much better. They just have to be better than the woman beater, but not much better. And women will be like, oh, finally, a man who doesn't rape me. And then women go, oh, this is so, wow.
Situationship thing that y'all have made up, yeah, that's just a lack of good communication. That's what a situationship is. The situation.
What do you think is happening here, though, girly? I know she said she's had a bad past and everything like that. I empathize. But, like, what do you think this is? This is a situationship. Now she doesn't know what's going on. She's like, so are you dating me or are you not dating me? He's like, I don't know. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm fucking. Maybe I'm not. She's like, so do you like me? He's like, maybe I do. Maybe I don't. I gotta fuck you to find out. What is more situationship than that? What is more confusing than that social interaction?
Relationship should never have been a thing that was normalized. At best, it should be friends with benefits, and that also requires communication. But dating is...
Sure, situationships are not healthy because, like, you don't know what you're doing in the relationship, but he didn't make it clear either. Okay, just for a second, let's go back just to hear his fuck voice, again, his little fuck boy voice.
If dating someone and seeing them, if I don't know if I'm sexually compatible. So, I know you said I don't know about that. So, like, I guess
he said, I know you said I don't know about that.
My thing is like, what would be the point of me coming over?
So, like, what would be the point of me coming over then if we're not gonna fuck?
Or then if we're not gonna, like, hook up and, like, cuddle and...
I don't know, get to know each other, ask each other about each other's childhood, our favorite animes, our favorite books. I don't know, communicate, get to, like, literally talk like a fucking human. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what do we talk? How is this good communication?
The preliminary stage to being in a relationship. That is quite literally the uncommitted phase where you discover if you and this person that you are dating are compatible.
I mean, I agree with everything she's saying, so I don't know how this applies to the video. Yeah, dating is to get to know somebody. But how does this apply to the video we just watched?
It's also very normal in the dating phase to date multiple people at the same time, as long as all of those people understand that you are dating multiple people. I think the youth calls it having a roster. Another disturbing thing that came up in the complaints or the disapproval of what this guy in the voice note did is that it was lustful and men only want sex, and the gender...
It was literally that. It was literally that.
Of who wants or likes sex, who prioritizes sex, who is seeking sex, who thinks sex is important in a relationship is so problematic. It is misogynistic. It is sexist. It is a trope that condemns women from having and enjoying sex. It's also a...
No. Okay, hold on. Let me show you this comment I got. Okay. So I got a comment in my comment section, which I've got a couple comments that are sort of similar-ish, but let me, I forgot to bring it up. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, hold on. Let me just grab it. I know it's here somewhere. I even told them I'll make sure to talk about it on stream. Here it is. No, just kidding. It's not there. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Give me a second. Hold on. I think I have to look at it like this. Newest. Apply. Okay, hold on. Well, to bring it up. But this plays a role. Here it is. Okay. Here, let me bring it up. Okay, they said... hey, I've been, so she just said, right, that sex, men wanting sex, the generalization. So on my channel, when I talk about, oh, men, this is such a man thing to do. Okay. It begs the question from a lot of trans men in the audience, like, hey, are you talking about me? Okay. I want us all to put on our absolute biggest thinking caps right now, our absolute biggest boy shorts. This person said, I've been watching for years and I love your channel. I'm a trans man in his mid-20s and I tend to wonder if when people talk about men in general, they include us. I tend to believe that people don't think about us. And I've been wanting to ask, when you're analyzing stuff about men and women, does that phrasing include trans men and trans women? It would be important to consider it because trans masks get left out of a lot of conversations about gender. Along this line, I also wanted to ask, when you say things like women and femmes are raised, are trans men included in that group? Because we are not women or femmes, nor femmes, but sometimes we are similar experiences because of our life history. Okay. So when I'm talking, I'm generalizing because I cannot, there's like billions of gender uniquenesses in the world, right? I cannot obviously talk about all people, so I'm generalizing. Maybe I'm talking about you, maybe I'm not. I don't know. I'm talking about people with this experience. If it applies, that's who I'm talking about. So when I say like, oh, men, it's the men this applies to. And I feel like I shouldn't have to explain that to trans people because why am I explaining this about cis and trans people? Cis people do this too. Men go, not all men. I know, then it doesn't apply to you, right? So like, I don't know. Sometimes I am thinking about people. Sometimes I'm not thinking about people because I just need to convey people who are raised like this, and I don't know who that applies to. It could be anybody. Do you know what I mean? It could be any gender, any person, any background. So you would say to yourself, oh yeah, like that's me. I was raised that way. Okay, well then it applies to you maybe. Maybe. And then even then, I don't know, right? Because I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to communicate this, right? Because I don't know either. Because I don't know the best way to say people raised as men, but I don't know who that applies to. That applies to anybody that they think that applies to. But I really don't know. So when she says, oh, this is so reductive, like saying men want sex and men, that's because we're talking about a very obvious stereotype of a man who's generalized in this bubble, who women deal with constantly and report on. Yes, if you fall into this category, that's the kind of men we're talking about. Why are we acting like this isn't true? We're not talking about bioessentialism. We're talking about socialized training that makes men think this is romantic. And what's worse, makes her think this is consent. So this man is trained under patriarchy and he's learned the script enough to say, ooh, like if I'm not going to come over, right? Like, or if I'm going to come over, are we going to have sex? She's like, wow, this is amazing. This is the communication I've been looking for. Where I hear that and I'm like, ew, hi, are you fucking gross as shit, bro? Learn to communicate. Also, do you understand what you're saying? You're saying you're not going to come to my house unless we fuck? Get blocked. Blocked. You know what I mean? So yeah, maybe I'm talking about you. Maybe I'm not talking about you. I don't know who I'm talking about. I'm just talking about whatever category of person I might be thinking about. So I hope that answers that question, but it plays into this narrative here because like I could not imagine a person talking to me like this, right? Right? But it changes from person to person because I was raised as a boy. Do you guys know that? My dad asked me if I came out when I was 21 because he raised me as a boy. I was raised as a boy. I was given boy opportunities in the bubble. I was treated like a boy, joked with like a boy. I was raised as a boy. And I was also raised as a girl. I was treated like a girl, but I was raised like a boy. So when we have these conversations, and I think when you're raised like a boy, I also think of myself. That's why, like, it depends on the bubble. It really depends on the bubble.
Trope that ends up creating a great deal of shame within sexual relationships and within sexual health that then ends up perpetuating rape culture because people feel too ashamed to actually talk about it. Now look.
Yeah, but talking about it isn't enough. If I go up to a person and be like, hey, bro, I've been thinking about eating you out all night. Can I do that? Or like, what are you thinking? That is not consent. That is disgusting. That is rude. That is obnoxious. That is a violation in many ways. That is not consent. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I did not consent to you talking to me this way. That is not consent. Like, don't talk to me that way. Don't say that to me. Ew, gross. So like, she's acting like saying your authentic wants is consent. It's not consent. Men hear that. I've had men hear that and go, oh, I just have to ask for what I want. Hey, I want to suck on your toes. You down? It's like, bro, you need to communicate better. You need to say, hey, I'm really attracted to you, and I've been wanting to know if you're attracted to me. They're like, yeah, I am attracted to you. Great. So what does that mean for you? Like, do you want to like talk about what we're interested in, what that means for us, what you're interested? Like, it's a conversation. It's a conversation. And where is the conversation in this back and forth? You know?
I am a millennial, not an elder millennial, but I am an elder now. I am 37 years old. I have been through a great deal of experiences in my life. I have been through therapy. I have been through several committed relationships. I've been through uncommitted relationships. I've been through periods of my life where I'm just dating around. I had a hoe phase. One key thing that I have learned is that communication makes everything so much easier. And the simpler and more to the point you communicate with people that you claim to care about, the easier and better it makes your relationships. The entertainment industry packages and sells you a lie of a romance fantasy. The older I get and the better I get at communicating, the more I realize that this package that we are sold about like romance and unspoken connections, the butterflies, yeah, that's anxiety. That's anxiety. It doesn't have to be like a bad.
Ooh, our girl needs to meditate. Okay, I think she's really going through it. I don't know what she means. Sure, it could be anxiety. It could also just be like connection. It could be a lot of things. I think there's a lot here. It feels like she's always halfway there. Like her analysis has a something, but then it doesn't have any roots. I feel like she's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I think there's something there, but it's not what she thinks it is.
Bad anxiety necessarily, but it is some sort of anxiety that comes from an excitement from the unknowing. Like some of y'all think that dating apps are supposed to cut out the experience of actually connecting with and getting to know someone through.
He literally doesn't want to get to know her. That's the whole point. He literally said in that message, I don't want to get to know you. I just want to fuck. So why are you yelling at us for being like, hey, we would prefer to get to know? That's why people are mad. They're mad he doesn't want to get to know her. And you're sitting here like, I fear you guys are really just so internet brained. You don't realize you have to get to know somebody. Yeah, that's why people are mad at him.
Dating. And frankly, if that is your motive by using dating apps to try to cut out the part where you have to take your time to connect with humans and figure out what sort of compatibilities you share, you want all of that to be listed before you even go on the first date, then you should be the one to make sure that you talk about that immediately. You should be the one to say, yeah, so I'm not actually really trying to date to get to know somebody. I'm trying to get into a relationship as quickly as possible. And what's funny about me telling you that is I met my long-term partner from Hinge 4 years ago. We talked about sex well before the first date. We found out if we were.
I mean, so did I. Well, yeah, so did I. Because we were talking on Messenger for 2 weeks before our first date. Okay, but it was consensual. Both of us wanted to talk about sex. Both of us wanted to talk about romance. Both of us wanted to talk about politics. Both of us wanted to talk about finance. Like, both of us wanted to talk about it. It was consensual. She didn't consent. She said, yeah, I don't know about that. Do you know what I mean? That's why she said, I don't know about, and he said, oh, I know you said you don't know about, we know.
Compatible on the first date. And that is so incredibly common. So incredibly common. Oh, and that was another common disapproval or complaint that I saw in the comments is that y'all can't seem to accept that people want sex. And it makes it a lot easier if you are willing to talk about it with people. That actually helps combat rape culture.
Yeah, I just think she's so wrong. It's disgusting, but it's also like so typical of people who aren't doing the work. Look, she isn't introspecting. She's not deconstructing. She's not thinking about all the nuances. Like, again, I believe in informed consent. Informed, meaning consent can be revoked at any fucking time, even mid-sex, of course, okay? That we get tested, we inform each other of anything that could make that person not want to have sex with us, okay? We do not give ultimatums. Sex is never used as a weapon. It is freely given, never coerced, never taken, none of those things. And so it just feels like she's absolutely missing the mark on purpose. Now, we're not gonna finish that. Let's go to her third TikTok on it. Just so you know, she posted this 15 hours ago.
Communicate something bluntly, but clearly and as kindly as I can to the people that are offended by the voice notes guy. Y'all are not emotionally mature enough to be using dating apps. You want the experience of speed dating and the convenience of speed dating through swiping through all of your options, but you are not emotionally mature
Bro, is this rage bait? Is she literally rage baiting right now?
enough to handle speedily communicating what you want and expect out of someone that you are dating. Let me rephrase that so that you can hear it in a different way. You all are using apps that imitate but put into warp speed what the speed dating experience is. But you are expecting a slow method of communication from a warp speed dating experience. That
No, I liked it. Just a reminder.
Like, be intimate with each other. And if that's what you don't want, that's fine. But like, I think we should just like end it here then, respectfully, just because first date, that's fine. Like, you want to get to know each other, I'm all about that. But like, I am looking to have that physical aspect there, and I don't want to continue seeing someone if I don't know if that's good, if that's not there or not. So up to you. Let me know. I'm happy to, if you do want me to come over, I'm happy to do so. Would love to have a good time, and we can have some wine, hang out, and chill. But if you're not trying to hook up, then like, I think we should just go our separate ways.
Okay. Let's move on to other people. So this is a person responding to her. Okay, we're gonna watch some of this.
enough, etc., etc. And I was sitting there thinking, this is what consent looks like, y'all. Like, we discuss the concept of consent so much, but I don't think people actually understand what it looks like. And that voice note is what consent looks like.
That was not consent. That was grooming.
Okay, I wouldn't use the word grooming, but I would say, in her defense, I would not say grooming, but I would say groomers use this tactic, which is different. So I would not say typical grooming, but I would say, and this is why I think you should be careful with your words if you're talking to a specific bubble. But I think that groomers can use these tactics, right? Like, a groomer could say, man, I know I'm 20 and you're 15 and we shouldn't hang out together, but I just can't help it. It's so silly. It's so dangerous. Like, I should leave you alone. I really should. Like, I don't want to take advantage of you. And the 15-year-old's like, no, you're not. I really want to spend time with you. I trust you so much. And they're like, no, I'm 20 and you're 15. And yeah, this whole, like, it's as if he's pretending he's giving her the choice. That is the grooming aspect of this conversation. Like, hey, like, it's the ball's in your court, if you want me to come over, but like, I don't wanna, but it's, if you wanna, that's what I think could be. But I don't think this particular instance was enough evidence for literal grooming, but okay.
That was grooming 101. And this woman participated in a larger function of it, like many male-centered women do, where they educate the rest of the women. How do you accept your degradation without knowing you're being degraded? By changing the semantics of what the fuck is going on. So this woman is responding to a viral video on TikTok right now, where a girl posts a voice memo from a guy who she's only gone on 2 dates with, and him basically stating, hey, I just feel like the only way that I'm going to meet up with you again is if you agree to have sex with me. And I guess the girl invited him over to her house, and he stated, there's no point for me to go over your house unless we're having sex. Now, what was interesting, this is the grooming quality of the voice note, which this lady got groomed herself, because she's saying it's consent. He said, aren't we going to be cuddling? Aren't we going to be doing all these things together? And it lightened the aggressive subtext of what he was saying, which was, there is absolutely no point for me to spend time with you anymore unless you have sex with me. He stated, well, I need to know the sexual compatibility of us if I'm going to continue seeing you after 2 dates. So this message coming from a woman that looks like her is quite dangerous, because she has those cool millennial aviator glasses, like she used to go to the wing. It's kind of girl boss coded, but she might not be a girl boss. A lot of millennial women have thrown girl boss out, right? Okay. She has the baby bang. She seems a bit alternative. She seems sex positive, open. And so you would think that a woman like her would be the authority on if men are shit or not. Andre Dorgan was being interviewed. I forgot where she was being interviewed at. And she was talking about patriarchy. And she was talking about misogyny. And she says, it is more sophisticated than the Pentagon. It is militaristic. And that will let you understand why you can't let up. You can't play benefit of the doubt with men. There's another.
So you know how we say this, you can't play benefit of the doubt with men? So it depends. I don't know what she means by it, but going back to the question I got, like, does that mean trans men? It means men who fall into this category regardless, or any gender really that falls into this category. But in this situation, we're talking about heteronormative relationships, most likely heterosexual relationships, it seems. And we're talking about dynamics in which a man is leaving a voicemail about fucking and a woman is on the receiving end. So it's obviously context. So that I don't know who it's about. I don't know who this applies to, but if it applies to you, it applies to you. Now look at this from a gay man.
I finally looked into this voice note drama where the girl posted a voice note of that guy saying that he wanted to have sex with her. I don't have a lot of strong opinions. I really don't. But I do think some of you, respectfully, if you were gay for like 30 seconds, you would just die of fright. I finally.
So, like, first of all, gay men do not need to keep bragging about how they're having so much unsafe sex, / hooking up with everybody they know, / putting no black and brown on their dating profiles on Grindr. Thank you very much. So, with peace and love to the gay community, you guys do not have a braggable position. You are not in a braggable space. Okay? If you want to talk about informed consent, if you want to talk about safe sex, we can talk about it, but do not make me go for the gay men who right now do not have the best reputation, even within our own communities. Okay? So don't make me, okay? So again, it's this air of superiority. Nobody's talking about STI testing. No one is talking about condoms. Nobody's talking about safety. Nobody's having a conversation about safety. They're just like, oh my God, you guys are prudes. Oh my God, you guys aren't putting out. You're literally prudes. And I'm like, okay, where is the conversation? Where is the conversation about safety? Okay, next TikTok. Y'all struggle with words. That's the title.
Few things I've learned since this whole voice memo thing took off. Y'all don't know what words mean. You have no idea what grooming, coercion, or an ultimatum is. Can somebody explain to me how it's grooming when there's no power imbalance or age difference? Because that's what grooming means. 2, coercion. Asking somebody to make a decision is not coercion. Coercion implies something bad will happen if you do not follow through. Not continuing a relationship in which you were not compatible is not a punishment. Asking someone to make a decision is not an ultimatum.
A rejection is consent, but he wasn't asking for her consent. He was saying, okay, again.
Hoping to like hook up, have sex, have a good time, have like that romantic spark and that physical spark there. For my
Okay, right? Like he's not, again, the ultimatum or not ultimatum, it's in the whole presentation. Human to human, I want you to be dignified in how you fall in love. I want you to feel safe with the person who's touching your body. I want you to feel safe with the person you're waking up to the next morning. I want you to feel safe with the person you're getting coffee with the next morning. I want you to feel safe about the fact that you have their body fluids on you and maybe inside you. I want you to feel safe knowing that you're not going to get pregnant if you can get pregnant because you guys took precaution. I want you to feel safe telling your girlfriends, hey, I'm going to go to sleep and I feel good about this. A stranger I just met, they're going to stay at my place. And none of that is the conversation that is being had here. Because they're all just focused on the fact that this guy was blunt with what he wanted instead of thinking about the consequences of what he implied. Because what if she said in that moment, yes, I definitely am down. I really want to fuck. But then she invited him over and she realized, oh no, I just got my period. I don't want to have sex. Would he never talk to her again? Would he chill with her? Would he be like, oh, cool, you're on your period. I guess we don't have to hang out. Because the whole point of his message was like, I don't want to just hang out with you if we're not having sex. So that means she can't revoke consent in the moment because he would get mad at her, feel entitled, maybe force her to do it. What was the safety of bringing this man into her home if he didn't want to hang out with her unless they were fucking?
Somebody invites you to go out to eat to a restaurant you don't like, but you still want to go out with that person, and you say, hey, I don't like that restaurant. If we have to go to that restaurant, I probably won't go, but if we can go to a different one, I will. That's not an ultimatum. That's just clear communication. The last thing I learned is y'all have an awful relationship with sex. You have no idea how to talk about it. You have extraordinarily Puritan views, and you hate women who just like physical relationships. Y'all are in the comments dogging any woman that said that she appreciates that type of communication. This happens every time there's discourse on this app. Somebody will get on here, have no idea what they're talking about, but have some kind of like...
Exactly, chat. Thank you. I truly despise the way some people talk about sex. I want to fuck you is not a compliment. Like, literally, what the fuck? Men will fuck dead bodies and sheep. It's not a compliment that you want to fuck me. Okay? Like, it's literally not a compliment. I am not complimented. Of course you want to fuck me. I'm a body. You know what I'm saying? I'm not complimented. Like, these people don't understand. Like, this is not a compliment. I think people just at different stages of their life are validation seeking in different ways. And I think when you haven't deconstructed, there was a time in your life when you thought this was cool. Like I said, I grew up in the How I Met Your Mother era, and we never thought Barney was a rapist. We just thought he was an asshole. But it's obvious he's a rapist. It's so obvious he's a bad person now. But at the time, we just thought he was a funny guy who was kind of an asshole. But like, these girls, you know, he's lying to them. And That's what I'm saying. I'm saying until you know it, you won't see it. So to them, they literally think this is like the height of consent. And I'm saying, oh girl, we haven't even reached it yet. Okay. So I'm saying, don't think of it this way. I'm saying, remember that there's always room for deconstructing patriarchy. There's always room for deconstructing all of these things. Listen, my partner and I consented to sex basically right away. We met each other. We got to the Airbnb. And pretty quickly, after some cooling down, conversation, relaxing, we pretty quickly got into physical intimacy. We had obviously gotten tested, got birth control, had conversations. We had also been talking for 2 weeks. Well, more than 2 weeks because obviously, 2 weeks and then our first date and then a while longer and then he flew to America. So we were talking for months before we physically met. So obviously, but still, even though we were talking for a while, and even though we were pretty sure we were going to get married, because remember, girlies, I was pretty sure I was going to marry him, and he was pretty sure he was going to marry me. We were pretty sure we were going to get married. We still said, even though we're sure we're going to get married, to some extent, let's make sure we're correct. Let's meet. Let's meet the families. Let's do the whole thing. And if we meet and we were just totally wrong, and oops, we were like caught up in the connection, my bad. We gave each other an out. We said, if you smell my skin and don't like the way it smells, you don't. We like the smell. But like, what if we didn't? What if we met each other and we're like, ooh, no, right? That's why consent is an ongoing conversation. It's not one and done. It's an ongoing I'm married and I've revoked consent during sex because I'm like, oof. I think my period's coming. Or, oof, my fibro. I can't do this. You know what I mean? Like, and my partner's like, no problem, bro. No problem. Let's go watch some One Piece. You know what I'm saying? It's like, even in marriage, people think you can't revoke consent in marriage. You know how many times I'm like, oof, with peace and love, I think I overate. Get off of me. You know what I mean? Like, marriage is just like in a nice, consensual, loving marriage, relationship, commitment. You're safe with the person you're with enough to say no. It is so safe to say no, I wouldn't even think otherwise. And it's so safe to say no because my partner doesn't take it personal. They just hear me advocating for myself. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. And this is what this guy isn't doing. He's not actually giving her the right to advocate for herself.
Self-described title in their name and talk as if they're a complete authority on something they have no understanding of. Because you would think if they had an understanding of it, they would know the definition of the words, but they don't. They also believe that they're experts in sociology because they live in society, and that's not how that works. There is an entire study dedicated to how humans interact, and you have never studied it. You don't know every communication style. You just know what you don't like, and you didn't like this, and you're making a lot of assumptions about this man. It's very weird. Few things I've learned since this whole voice memo.
Okay. Then there's, I don't want to watch another guy. Let's watch a girl.
I've already seen it. A voice memo has gone viral that a woman shared because she invited a man over to her apartment and he sent her a voice memo letting her know that since they've already been on 2 dates, he would like to explore if they're sexually compatible when he comes over to her apartment.
I thought it was only 1 date. Did we listen to it? Didn't he say first date for sure, but second date, I want to get physical?
And wanted to know if that was also how she was feeling before he came over, right? He wanted to smash. She posted this as though it was some horrible thing, but I am team voice memo man is a walking green flag because of what this comment is mentioning, that this kind of openness saves lives. Because what voice memo man was doing, even though it's maybe not.
The only reason it saves lives is to save that woman from being raped. It gave her a chance to get away from a possible rapist. That's the only reason it saves lives. Not because he was a good guy, but because he was probably a bad guy. And thank God she got away from him. That's the only reason this openness saves lives.
Something we're used to, or it's a little awkward. He was trying to get consent from a person before putting them in a situation that was very uncomfortable for them, or that could have been very uncomfortable for them. I mean, because I found myself in the situation, I'm sure many people have, where you want to invite someone over to your home. I like to play video games, so I'll invite someone over to play video games, not understanding that that person wants to have sex with you, and then they make a move and they're in your home, and then you have to.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. It sounds better, but it's not. So we go back to my chart. Okay, let's go back to the chart. So this is liberal consent. Conservatives, no consent. I came over your house, we're having sex, because that's the implication. Liberal consent is like, if I say I want to fuck you, I have to say yes now because that's good consent. Or if I say no, I'm the asshole. Because what the implication of being on his side is that she's an asshole for being upset with him. because she was turned off by him. She sent it to her friend and her friend posted it like, ugh, this guy. And they were like, ew, he's so gross. And everyone's like, why is he gross? He asked you for consent. He's gross because he didn't ask for her consent. He pretended it was about asking for consent. He did not give her informed consent. He was not allowing her to truly revoke consent had he driven all the way to her house and she decided, I'm not into it. Because the ultimatum was, unless we have sex, I don't want to hang out with you. Unless we have sex, I don't want to hang out with you. Think about that. Unless we have sex, I don't want to hang out with you. So I guess we won't hang out because you're an asshole? What? And then everyone's like, oh, he's so great. He asked for consent. That's not informed consent.
Do the work of kicking them out, and it's incredibly awkward and hard. And sometimes does not even go well and ends up putting people in really traumatic situations that they don't want to experience. But all of this can be avoided if people are super open and clear and honest about what they want before.
Oh, fuck. It actually can't be avoided. You can have the conversation and a person can still rape you. Just for the record. You can have the most verbally consensual relationship and someone can still cheat on you. It will avoid some hurt, but ultimately, people shouldn't be raping people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't assume something. You should ask explicitly. And then you should honor the person that you're seeing and value them as a person. Not just as a thing you can fuck, but as a real person with real thoughts and real feelings. Guys, did we forget that, like, we have thoughts and feelings? Even your most casual lover is still a person with hobbies and favorite vegetables and favorite colors and favorite people and favorite TV shows. Like, it doesn't matter how casual the relationship is, that's still a person.
Situations have things like pressure and coercion tied into them. And honestly, I think rape culture is a part of why it makes us uncomfortable when people are this open, right? Because we live in a society that has normalized consent not being an open conversation, not being brutally honest. What we have instead is a culture that normalizes signals and like indirectness, and that's what people find attractive. People are allowed to have their own romantic and sexual interests, right? But you do also have to understand that the idea is that things should be indirect and unspoken is what enables rape culture to continue, right? Because then when people are in situations that they didn't.
I mean, I hear what everyone is saying, but again, if we're looking at our chart, this is all unacceptable. And this is what they're doing. And I'm saying, no, this is the only chance we have at truly consensual sex. And even then, a rapist will find a way to rape you. Okay? Everything they're doing beyond that is just an upgraded version of conservatism. It's just an upgraded version of the patriarchy. That's what that is. Like, you don't even know if he's being upfront, by the way. You don't know if he's lying to her. You're assuming that there's not a lie somewhere in here. We're just hearing one snippet of a voicemail, and you are like, oh yeah, this is a good person. Your judgment is crazy. Like, you heard this voicemail, and you're like, yeah, this guy's a good guy. This is what I'm saying about discernment and judgment. Why do you think this is a good man? What about this message screamed to you? Oh yeah, this is a good man. This is a dignified man. This is a good person. Like, what part of this message where you're like, oh yeah, that's one of my homies. If this was I told my partner this, if this was my brother, I would fly to the US just to pull him by the ear and send him back to my mother's house and be like, look at this. Look at this. Not that it would matter too much because my parents are fucking useless, but I would be so annoyed. Okay, that's a hyperbole, but I would be they would get a earful. If I recognized that voice, if that was my brother, if I recognized that voice, the way I would call him and be like, how fucking dare you talk to people this way, especially a woman you're dating? How dare you treat a woman this way? He wouldn't even hear the end of it. And the fact that these so-called fucking leftists and feminists are on the internet saying like, you think this is a good man? You think this is the man who's a good man? He's so lucky that wasn't my brother's voice. All my brothers are lucky that wasn't their voice. Bro.
Want to be in, people are allowed to say, oh, well, there was this signal or there was this signal. And so I thought what I was doing was okay. And that's accepted as a valid excuse because we haven't normalized people just openly saying, hey, I would like to have sex with you. Is that all right? Or we haven't normalized people sitting down and having a conversation before they have a sexual encounter.
Okay, I'm going to start muting people. You said I kind of agree that it was great he did it because he was clear about his intentions. And then he wasn't clear with his intentions. If he was clear with his intentions, he would have said, hey, I'm not actually looking to date you because honestly, you're probably not even that pretty, but I am interested in fucking you enough. Or he could have been honest and said, hey, I'm not really interested in you. I just want to really fuck, because that's what he's saying. He's not being honest. If he was honest, he wouldn't play this whole game of maybe I'll date you if we fuck. Maybe I won't if we don't fuck. It's a game. What are you going to pick? He's playing a fucking game. It's a literal fucking game. It's a game that looks like consent, but is not consent. He wasn't being honest. Just say you want to fuck. But he didn't say that, did he? He said, well, maybe I'd want to date you if we fucked. Tee-hee. That's absolutely fucking different. It is fucking different, but how easily your fucking monkey brains fall for it because you're fucking stupid. And I say this with peace and love, you're stupid because of rape culture. This is literally rape culture. Rape culture is teaching women that as long as the man feels it's consensual, it is. She doesn't consent. She already revoked consent and he pressured her. He said, I know you said I don't know about that. He already admitted she said no. So why is he pushing further? I don't know about that. I don't know if I want to have sex. And he said, well, if you don't want to have sex with me, then I guess we're not going to hang out because if we don't have sex, I'm not going to date you. So she already said, I don't think so. I'm not into that. That's not for me. Do you know what I'm saying? Why are we ignoring exactly what he's saying? And why are we ignoring that he's an absolute fucking asshole? Like, what kind of are you friends with this person? Is this your friend? Is this your friend? End this friendship. Is this your brother? Go lecture him. Is this literally what are we talking about?
About what type of sex is appropriate and what other sexual experiences aren't wanted. People don't talk about those things. It's seen as awkward if you tell someone, hey, I would like to sit down and talk about our sexual preferences.
Yes, but this is the worst example of informed consent. There are so many better examples of people who are talking, communicative, sharing. He's not doing this. Guys, I love informed consent. I love checklists and negotiations. I love so many forms of communication. I have had so much sex. I've engaged in so many consensual situations. They never went like this. If anybody in any of those situations ever talked to me like this, I would tell all my friends he was a bad person. Because who the fuck talks to another person like this? Who the fuck treats somebody like this who isn't trying to get around consent? This is absolutely him getting around consent. This is not him engaging in consent. Okay, this is him getting around consent by using words that sound like to the untrained ear that it is consent.
Before we do anything, okay? Or hey, before I come to your house, I would like to know if you want to have sex with me.
And it's so the audacity of these people saying you're going to get women raped if you don't accept this type of communication. You're going to get people confused about the difference between informed consent and things that sound like consent. That's what I'm saying. You're confused. With peace and love, I'm concerned, but you are confused. This isn't informed consent. One time, I was hanging out with a friend where we weren't even going to be sexual. I've never been sexual with this friend, okay? We've never been intimate together. And we were going to do a BDSM scene. We were going to do like a BDSM scene together, a non-sexual BDSM scene. If you know, you know. Anyways, we went to a beer garden and I started drinking a beer and I forget how lightweight I am. And my friend goes, are you drunk? I was like, oh, fuck, I think I'm drunk. And they're like, well, now we can't negotiate because I can't negotiate with you when you're not sober. I was like, totally based. And then we went to go watch Pirates of the Caribbean 4 and we ate food at the movie theater and it was great. Even a conversation had to stop. We had to stop talking about doing stuff because I was drunk, let alone physically being in the same space together, let alone being naked together, let alone actually going to have sex together. We literally had to stop talking about possibly doing stuff in the future because I couldn't consent to a conversation. That's informed consent, not this.
It's posted on blast online and ridiculed like it's some sort of bad thing when it's really a life-saving conversation about consent. So again, I think Voice Memo Man is a walking green flag, and I do think that people that are making fun of him or uncomfortable by that type of communication should really deeply inspect where their ideas of what like romance and sexuality looks like comes from, and if those ideas might be influenced by a culture that isn't actually safe.
Okay.
If you haven't already seen it.
What a ridiculous conversation. Chat says he's the only telling her that his sole intention with knowing her is to have sex. That's all he sees her as. He didn't mention anything about emotional compatibility or connection. Exactly. So we know this. Look, I am 37 and I am a millennial and I've had sex with plenty of people. I've also negotiated with people, done written down checklists with people. I'll even go so far as to be like, hey, can I talk to some of your friends or your previous romantic partners so I know you're chill? I was taught by BDSM communities because I was a part of an education center where they recommended asking for people's partners' numbers to check in with them to make sure they were chill. So I come from a very informed consent bubble where you would never, they're talking about bubbles where people don't even ask for sex. I come from a bubble where I'm like, let me talk to your ex-girlfriend. What's your ex's number? Let me talk to your current partners. Let me talk to your friends. Who are you? Before I let you into my mind, my body, my soul, my physical space, my friendships, who are you? Okay. Now, of course, it's hard because not everybody vouches well for everybody else, because look at all these numbskulls on the internet vouching for this stupid loser guy they don't even know. How is he a walking green flag with this memo? You know what I'm saying? So also you have to discern the fact that some people will quote, be a good, like, oh yeah, I vetted him. His sources came back good. But what if all the sources are bad people? Or what if all the sources are these people? You know what I mean? So again, I was a part of a very liberal leftist space. I was part of a very education-based community center. I was really lucky my years in BDSM, and also the ways that I got to engage with sex generally was very safe. And it's still, even with my current partner, like, you know, we do a lot of work to communicate. Even though we're married, like, you know, she and I are just very respectful. We're very considerate. We're very loving. We're very slow. Everything is a conversation, and everything is to be negotiated. You know, nothing is taken for granted. Nothing is assumed. I don't assume because we're married, I can just have sex with them. Like, that's not what this relationship is. I don't want a marriage like that. I don't want a marriage like that. I don't want you to assume that because we're married, we're going to have sex. I want you to assume that because we're married, we will naturally be attracted to each other, and we might revoke consent. You know, I don't want to, the entitlement part of it is what's wrong here. So as much as I think a lot of these people have good intentions and they're not like Republicans, they're liberal, stuck in a liberal mindset of what consent looks like, because informed consent would have required them to have a larger conversation other than a voicemail that said, hey, I'm only interested in hanging out if we fuck. Like, I just can't imagine from what dignified perspective this is a green flag, that you are basically a body to me. And then to use the excuse of, I don't even know if I'm into you unless we fuck. Like, you can't be with somebody like that. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be with somebody like that. How are you going to date somebody who only knows if they should treat you like a dignified human being if they fuck you? Like, are we so serious right now? In what world is that acceptable? Come on now. Chess says, no, I like this creator too. Who? Which one? Whack take. Like you said, he's stating, the guy. He's stating his intention, which is good information to know, but there's no option to let her change her mind. She already said no. Exactly. Yeah, that's the problem. I think I've seen a lot of these creators, and I always thought like, oh, even creators I didn't save it, I don't think, but even creators that I generally like, I usually like their takes. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know why this topic fried everyone's brain. Like, you know how they keep accusing everybody else of not having sexual experiences? Well, I have a lot of sexual experiences, and I'm telling you right now, the best ones are focused around informed consent. You know what I mean? So again, it's like this, I'm better than you. I fear you are brain rotten. I fear you don't know what apps are. I fear, keep your fear to yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah, Chess said he basically told her she has to pay to play. Ugh, gross. Absolutely true. Right? Chess says, thank you. It's a complete disregard of her feelings, her personal lived experience, which may be a huge part of why she's hesitant, and her worldview. Well, she invited him to her house. So here she is being open. Here she is saying like, yeah, oh my gosh, like, let's get together. Let's hang out. I'd love to get to know you. And then it's this like, it's this, yeah, but like, if we're not going to fuck though.
My own sake, because it's hard for me to continue dating someone and seeing them if I don't know if I'm sexually compatible. So
it's hard for me to continue dating and seeing somebody if I don't know we're sexually compatible. It's been 2 dates, 1 date. You need to chill. You know what I mean? Just say what you want to say. Hey, I'm looking to fuck. Because you know what's funny? So he's attracted to her to fuck her, but he hasn't used enough of his brain power to see if he likes her. So imagine a person saying, I don't like you, but I'm interested in fucking you. You down? So you have to fuck me to know if you like me? Like what does that mean? Like, there's no good messaging here. There's just no good messaging here. That's crazy. You know? Yeah, Angel something was the creator. I thought they were like a hardcore leftist. Well, this is what I'm saying. When we talk about embodied leftist values, for me, it is not just about capitalism. It is not just about patriarchy or religion. It's about all facets of how these things are multi-layered. So it's not just like the patriarchal aspects of religion. It's the patriarchal aspects of dating culture and safe sex. Look, I'll show it to you again.
Your deconstruction does not end at religion alone. Your deconstruction does not end at deconstructing from Christianity or Islam or all of that. It does not end there. We are on the internet and we are seeing the influx of people deconstructing from their religious beliefs and everything, but we are not seeing enough of deconstructing from other things. You cannot say you deconstructed from religion because it's patriarchal or misogynistic or all of this, and then you're now still misogynistic, you're homophobic, you're transphobic, you're
Hello? It's like all of these leftists are like down with capitalism. I'm a Marxist. But also this guy was kind of based in a total green flag because he totally expressed that he wanted to fuck her even though she was not into it. But at least he said it. I've got to literally, I literally have a headache. I have a literal headache. So again, all of us, even me, I practice every day to embody my beliefs so it reflects everything that I'm doing, because at the end of the day, these labels are not exactly great. They're not exactly as nuanced in order to express exactly where we are in every part of our deconstruction. We're not Republicans, we're not conservatives, but and we're not liberals, or maybe we're not Democrats, but like, it doesn't mean we've really done all the work we need to do in, all of the areas. So take everybody with a grain of salt. Realize we're all just people on the internet. Even the people who are, quote, experts or have degrees, they have biases and prejudice. That's why we have to remember that just because somebody's a doctor doesn't mean they won't be anti-vaccine and so on and so forth. So just take a deep breath, take what you can from people, learn what you can, and remember not to put people on pedestals. And remember that even if it sounds good, make sure that it is as good as it sounds, because, sometimes it sounds like consent and looks like consent, but it's just a different version of coercion. And I know it's hard because I don't want you to be paranoid, of course. I just want you to learn to discern. So for me, I heard the voicemail and right away I was like, no. Okay, my partner heard the voicemail and went, no. Okay, other people on the internet heard it and went, no. But then for the people on the internet that were like, oh, well, he has a point and he's being so honest, ask yourself, really think about it. Does he sound safe? Would you want him inside your house? Would you want him inside your body? Because if the answer is no, then he's not a good guy. If the answer is any part of that gave you the ick, but it might be good for somebody else, not safe. I'm not saying you have to be attracted to the guy. I'm saying he didn't even sound safe enough that I would think of anybody in my life that I would wish him upon. I would never wish him on my worst enemy, and I have no enemies, is what I'm trying to say. He sounds like a terrible fucking person.